Hi, so we are doing accounts from incomplete records. We're going to start with illustration 8. Mr. Anup runs a wholesale business where in all purchases and sales are made on credit. He furnished the following closing balances. So they have given the assets and as well as liabilities here, and then they have given the summary of cash transactions during the year 2016, right? And then other transactions. So based on this information provided by them, we need to prepare trading account, P&L account and balance sheet. As usual, we will start with the trading account. To prepare trading account, we require opening stock, purchases, closing stock, sales. Right? Okay. So let's look for the opening stock. So here in the inventory, they have given the opening stock and as well as the closing stock. So consider that opening stock 1,10,000 and then closing stock 1,90,000. Then what else we require? So let's try for sales. Sales they haven't given directly in the question, so we need to look for any debtors account, right? So let's check if there is any related to the debtors. There are so many entries related to the bills of exchange, right? See, debtors and bills of receivable both are interrelated, and creditors and bills payable both are interrelated. If you prepare a ledger of debtor, you need to prepare bills receivable, then only you'll get the full picture. If you prepare a ledger of creditor, you need to prepare the ledger of bills payable, otherwise you won't get the full picture, right? Okay, so now let's prepare the debtors account because we want to know how much sales we have made. So let's prepare the debtors account. They have already given the opening balance and as well as the closing balance. So let's start writing two balance brought down 70,000 opening balance and closing balance here 92,000. By balance carried down 92,000. Next, in the same way, bills receivable we need to prepare, right? So debtors and bills receivable both are interrelated. So we need to prepare bills receivable also. Bills receivable opening balance 15,000 and then closing balance is 16,000. So opening and then closing. All right. Now, if you see that, just look for the information what is related to whatever the information given in the question. Look for the information related to the debtors account or bills receivable. Okay. So first one, deposit into bank after payment of shop expenses 600 per month. So these are all not required to the debtors account. Withdrawals not related. Cash payment to suppliers for suppliers and 25,000 for furniture also not related. It's related to the purchases. Checks collected from the cash customers but dishonored. So see in the question they haven't given anything about the cash sales, right? So we will assume that everything is credit sales. When you make a credit sale, what is the general entry you might have passed? You might have passed the general entry will be like this. Debtors account debit to sales account. This might have been the general entry you might have passed. Then afterwards you have received a check, right? So here they mention that check collected first. So when you receive a check, you might have wrote this entry. Bank account debit to debtors account. and then again you found out that the check has been dishonored, nothing but bounce, right? So now you just need to flip the entry, so which is debtors account debit to bank account. Yeah, so debtors account debit to bank account. So first general entry will be that. So we are preparing now debtors account. In debtors account, what will happen? Let's check. Here in debtors account it will be to bank, right? According to the general entry, you will write to bank, check dishonored. Okay, next entry will be, yeah, see here, just a minute, hold on. See here, we are preparing in debtors account when we received a check we passed this entry. So bank account debit to debtors account. In debtors account by bank when you received a check, and then when it is dishonored we are passing this general entry, debtors account debit to bank. Just a minute, it is a little bit slow. Yeah, so here to bank. So for this general entry will be this, and for this general entry will be this. In the same way you need to write the in debtors account also they wrote in the same way, this, and then they wrote credit side also 5700, this, right? All right, now now bills accepted by the customer. Next one. So in the bills accepted by customer, so how does it work? So we should know the general entries for that first. Okay, before that, just some little explanation. How does it work? Okay, see, we should know something about bills of exchange. Assume that there is A and B. A wants to sell goods to B. So A will be the seller and B will be the buyer, right? A wants to sell the goods to B, but B wants to buy only on credit basis. Wants to buy on credit basis he will pay that after 2 months, right? So normally if you don't offer the goods on credit basis, so people really doesn't buy, right? So selling the goods on credit basis is very important. But from the seller point of view, what is the guarantee that he will pay back on time? That he may pay, but what is the guarantee that he will pay on time, right? So then it is a loss for the seller, right? So that's why he will write one unconditional order. Unconditional order. That means he will write one bill. In that piece of paper A will write saying that B has to pay to me after 2 months. B has to pay to me 50,000 rupees, let's just say. On so and so date he has to definitely B has to pay to A. So like that A only write a bill, and then A will sign one side, okay, and then will give that bill to B. B will accept and sign, right? So A is drawing the bill, so that's why he will be called as drawer, and then he will be drawee, he will be drawing, right? Yeah. So now after 2 months B has to pay 50,000 to the A. So that's what A wrote a bill and gave it to B. B accepted it and signed it. For A, it is bills receivable. For B, it is bills payable. Alright? Yeah. So now, there are some more cases in this same thing. Let's learn about that also. So we know B promised that he will pay money in 2 months. But what if A requires money before that? That is one scenario. And what are the general entries you need to pass? That also we need to concern about. First, we'll check out the scenarios. So A can do two things with that bill. A has bill, right? So A can do two things with that. So A can discount with the bank, or he can endorse to or you can just say endorse to its creditors. Endorse, he can endorse the bill. So first we will learn what is meant by discounting with the bank. So here A has now bill, right? B said that he will pay the money within 2 months, but A wants money now, so that's why he will approach to the bank. And then he will give the bill to the bank, and A will tell to the bank that so B has to pay 50,000 rupees to me after 2 months, so you collect from the B. So right now you give to me only 49,500. So bank will take that bill and give 49,500 to the A. After 2 months, that means on maturity date, after 2 months bank will go to the B and collect 50,000. Remaining 500 is a profit for the bank. That's nothing, that's called discounting with the bank. And endorse. So let's just say A has a creditor of C, or let's write as a D. A has a creditor of D. That means A has to pay 50,000 to D. Now obviously our B, right, has to pay 50,000 to A. Okay, B has to pay 50,000 to A, right, which he promised that he will pay within 2 months, after 2 months. Now A can do one thing. So instead of receiving money from B, he will tell to B, he has bills receivable, right? So he will give that bills receivable to the D, saying that I need to receive, A will say like this, I need to receive 50,000 from B after 2 months, so I need to give 50,000 to you. So take this bills receivable and collect that 50,000 from the B, right? So this is endorsement. So A has to receive money from B and A has to pay money to D. So that's why whatever the money which he is going to receive from B is directly giving to the D. That is endorsement. Okay. So what will be the general entries for this? Yeah. So the general entries will be, let's check out the question first. We'll learn what is required only. So bills accepted by the customers. So first of all, you need to understand what does this. Bills accepted by the customers. Like in our example, A will draw a bill and will give bill to the B. So for A, B is the customer, right? So B will accept the bill and give it back to A. So it's nothing but bills drawn on B. So for A, it is bills receivable, right? For B, it is bills payable. Now we are writing the general entries from the A point of view. So they mention that bills accepted by customers. So customers are like B. They accepted the bill and gave it to us. So that means it's nothing but bills receivable for us. So what will be the general entry when it is a bills receivable? So if it is a bills receivable, the general entry will be bills receivable account debit to debtors account. First one. So bills receivable account debit to debtors account. Next. Next one we have bills endorsed. Now you know endorsed, right? What does it mean by endorsed? Okay, let's check for the general entry. Let me check whether I can deal with this. Yeah. So bills endorsed. So when the endorsed, the general entry is this. This. So creditors account debit to bills receivable account. So why? Because when we made a purchases, we might have wrote the saying that purchases debit to creditors account, right? Now we are supposed to receive one bill. when you are supposed to receive the bill, you might have passed this general entry, right? But now you are giving that bill to our creditor. So previously you have credited the creditor, but since we are giving the bill, he is no longer creditor. Since you have credited, debit here, and then here we are supposed to receive the bill, so that's why we have debited. So now credited. So creditors account debit to bills receivable account. So done with this also. And then what else? Bills discounted 20,000 and discounted for 750. So bills discounted, that means we are receiving the cash. So we are receiving the cash of 19,250, right? Okay, that doesn't work. And then remaining 750 will be the discount, and then two bills receivable 20,000. So this will be the general entry. Cash account debit, discount account debit, two bills receivable account. So this one is done. Next one, bills matured and duly collected 16,000. So when the bills is matured and duly collected, this will be the general entry. So previously you might have wrote that, so the debtor has to pay, bills receivable they has to pay, so that's why you wrote this general entry. Now they pay it to you. So bank account debit to bills receivable account. Previously you have debited here, now you will credit here. So both will get cancelled. Next, bills accepted 24,000. That means this time it is not accepted by customers, it is accepted by us. So that would be bills payable for us. So the general entry will be, I'll write here, hold on. General entry will be creditors, because creditors are no longer creditor, creditors account debit to bills payable account, right? Okay, that's it. So we have seen all the general entries. Now we were in the middle of preparing the debtors account, so let's finish that. So we have done with the check collected from the customers but dishonored 5,700. Now bills accepted by customers, that means bills drawn. The first one, the first general entry, bills receivable account debit to debtors account, right? So let's write that. Bills receivable account debit to debtors account, that means in bills receivable to debtors, in debtors account by bills receivable. So how much? This is 40,000. So in bills receivable to debtors 40,000, and then in debtors by bills receivable 40,000, right? So first one is done, and then second one, bill endorsed. What is the general entry you have passed when is bill endorsed? Cash account debit, discount account debit to bills receivable account. So that means we are preparing the bills receivable account, right? So come back to bills receivable account. In bills receivable account by bank, because we are getting the from the bank, so bank account 19,250 by discount. So in the general entry we wrote cash, so let's convert that into bank. So in bills receivable account by bank by discount. Okay, so next one, bills matured and duly collected 16,000. Bills matured and duly collected 16,000. So the general entry will be this: bank account debit to bills receivable account. So it will come only in bills receivable account. So in bills receivable account by bank. 1 minute. Bills receivable account by bank. Bills received and maturity collected. This one, right? Yeah. Did we do bills endorsed? So in bills endorsed, what did we do? Creditors account debit to bills receivable account. So in bills receivable account by sundry debtor, by sundry creditors, in sundry creditors account to bills receivable. So we are done with that also. So we have got everything. So we have already finished 15,000. We got this and sundry creditors which is endorsed, and then we got the discount, and then we got the matured and collected, everything. So let's balance it. If you balance it, this side will be 55,000, and then there is a 3,000 shortfall here. What would be that shortfall? Probably, in bills of exchange, in bills receivable account, what will be there? We need to first, you will write a journal entry for receiving the bills of receivable, for receiving that bills receivable, and then you will write a journal entry for the collecting it, or discounting it, or endorsing it, and the last one is dishonoring it. So we covered every scenario apart from the dishonoring. So this shortfall we will write that for dishonoring. So bills receivable dishonored. Okay, so close the bills receivable account. Now come back to the debtors account. In debtors account, what else we have here? Goods returned by customers. That means it is a sales return. So what is the general entry? Sales return account debit to debtors account. In debtors account by sales return, which is 1200. You'll write there. So we have covered everything. And also, what will be the general entry when bills receivable dishonored? So the general entry will be, previously when you drawn a bills, you wrote this: bills receivable account debit to debtors account. When it is dishonored, the reverse: debtors account debit to bills receivable account. So we wrote in the bills receivable account, so we need to write in the debtors account also to bills receivable dishonored. So we have considered everything, right? So this side we have considered everything, but still we cannot find out the sales. This is a very big question and it's very long. Anyway, so we were preparing this debtors account, right? So we have completed the fully bills receivable account. So put into mark, right? And then we have wrote everything in the sundry debtors account. And then there is one more thing called as discount. So here, discount offered to the customers, last one. In other transactions, fifth one, discount offered to customers. That means we gave a discount. So discount allowed account debit to debtors account. So the general entry will be, so general entry will be discount allowed account debit to debtors account. So in debtors account we will write by discount allowed. Here 2400. 2400 which is given in the question, right? Okay, so we have filled almost everything, right? In sundry debtors account we have filled almost everything, but we can't get the just a minute. Yeah, I hope it's clear now. Let me zoom it. Yeah, so in sundry debtors account we have filled everything, but still we can't figure out the sales. Why? Because the main information in all the questions in previous questions they have given realization from the debtors. In the entire question they haven't given the realization from debtors, right? So when you realize the debtors, when you realize the cash from the debtors, what is the general entry you will write? So cash account debit to debtors account, or if it is from the bank account debit to debtors account. But in the question they nowhere mentioned that we have realized anything from them. So that's why, since if you realize it will be recorded in the cash and bank account, and then they gave the cash transaction, so that's why it is better to prepare the cash and bank account to find out the sales. Okay, so let's prepare the cash and bank account. So they have given the summary of cash and bank account. So in the same one we are doing both cash and as well as bank. So opening balance, it will be in the debit side because cash and bank is an asset, so it will be in the debit side. To balance brought down, to balance brought down, by balance carried down, it will be here. Now, so first we look from the beginning. Deposited into bank after repayment of shop expenses. After the payment of the shop expenses 600 per month, and salary 9200 per month, and personal 1400 per month. That means these are all the expenses we should record first. Deposit to bank after payment. So that means all the expenses we made in cash first. So 600 per month and 9200 per month and personal expenses. So we'll record here. So 600 per month. We paid in cash, right? First we paid in cash, and whatever the remaining, then we have deposited it. So 6000 into 600 into 12, 7200, and then salary 9200 per month, so it is 1,04,000. Drawings 1400 per month, it is 16,800. And then after paying all these things, they have mentioned that we have remaining is 7,62,750. This money we have deposited into the bank. So bank account debit to cash account. So in cash account the general entry will be this, right? So bank account debit to cash account. In bank account to cash. So here to cash you will write in the in bank, and then in cash account it is by bank. So write by bank right on the cash side. Done? Yeah. Then withdrawals 1,21,000. When you have withdraw the money, what will be the general entry? Withdrawals. That means from the bank we have withdrawn the money. So we are getting the cash. Cash account debit to bank account. In cash account it will be to bank. So to bank in cash account. So 1,21,000. So bank account. In bank account it is by cash. By cash here in bank account 1,21,000. So done with that also. And then cash payment to supplier 77,200 for supplies and 25,000 for the furniture, right? So when we paid the cash here, they specifically mentioned cash account. So suppliers account debit to cash account. In cash account by suppliers. How much is that? 77,200. Here suppliers nothing but creditors only, right? 77,200. And then they also mentioned the 25,000 for the furniture. Buy furniture 25,000. Cash account debit to furniture account debit to cash account. So in cash account buy furniture. So bills accepted, bills endorsed, discounted, matured and duly collected. So here bills matured and duly collected, there is a, what is the general entry we will pass? Bank account debit to bills receivable account, right? So in bank account two bills receivable, two bills receivable 16,000. And then what else? Bills discounted 20,000 and 20,000 and discount is 750. Then also we pass the general entry bank account debit, discount account debit to bills receivable account. So we are passing the general entries in bank account. Bank account debit to discount account debit to bills receivable account. So in bank account two bills receivable, which is 19,250. Okay. Here again for this one, fourth one, check collected from the customer but dishonored, which we have already seen for this general entry. When you have collected, you might have wrote saying that bank account debit to debtors account, and then here when it is dishonored, debtors account debit to bank account. So first in bank account it will be to debtors, and then again it will be by debtors. So let's see here. See, to debtors 5,700, by debtors 5,700. Okay. Now what else? Bills accepted, there is nothing related to the cash and bank account. Paid supplier by check 3,20,000. So general entry will be bank account debit to creditors account. Creditors account debit to bank account. General entry is creditors account debit to bank account. So in bank account by creditors, so total 3,20,000, right? Then received 20,000 on maturity of one LIC policy of the proprietor by check. So that means bank account debit to additional capital account. So bank account debit to additional capital account. So to additional capital 20,000 here. Whatever the money is getting from LIC policy is investing in business only. Received, then that is done. Rent received 14,000 by check for the premises owned by the proprietor. That means proprietor has one place, and whatever the rent he is getting from that premises, he is again investing in the business only. So that is also additional capital, which is 14,000. So this bank account debit to additional capital account. So in bank account to capital, right? So for cash account, I think we almost got everything. Rent is done, and then they have mentioned building was purchased on 30/11/2016 for opening a branch of 3,50,000, and some expenses were incurred on the building, details which are not maintained. That means we purchased a building. Obviously when we purchase a building, it will go from cash and bank account only, but it is not mentioned in the question, so we need to find out that also. And then electricity and bill paid by cash, they specifically maintained paid by cash. Total how much we paid? 18,700. It doesn't matter how much is due here, we will consider that in the P&L account, but here how much actually cash is going out, only that we will consider. So 18,700. So general entry will be electricity charges account debit to bank account. So in bank account by electricity charges, sorry, to cash account, we are paying in cash, right? So by electricity charges in cash account. If you observe, we got everything related to the cash account, right? So let's this is the closing balance which is already given in the question. So let's balance the cash account, cash column. If you balance, you will get the remaining shortfall is there, right? That shortfall we will assume that we have got from the sundry debtors account. So why? Because why cash account? Why not bank? Because when you collect money from the debtors, you will pass a general entry cash account debit to debtors account. But if it is a bank account, they would have mentioned that we have received a check or something, but they didn't mention. And also we are assuming that everything is credit sales, right? So 8,97,150 will be the money we have received from the debtors. So we'll put the same figure here. Now we'll balance it and we'll get the credit sales 9,59,750, and then same you will write here, and then sales return given in the question 1,200, just deduct that. Now we'll come back to the purchases. Purchases also they haven't given in the question, so we need to prepare the sundry creditors account. So sundry creditors account, check. Sundry creditors account, they gave opening balance 40,000 and 56,000, right? So write that. Sundry creditors account 40,000 56,000. Now again come from the beginning and check, is there anything related to the sundry creditor. Cash payment to suppliers 77,200 for supplies. It's nothing but we paid to our creditors. So creditors account debit to cash account. So here to cash 77,200. Got that right? And then check collected from customers, it doesn't come here. Bills accepted by customers, it does not come here also. Bills endorsed. Bills endorsed, what is the general entry we have talked about? So it is creditors account debit to bills receivable account. So in creditors account we are doing, so to bills receivable 10,000. Next, bills discounted doesn't come, matured and collected doesn't come. Bills accepted, that means it is a bills payable for us. So general entry will be the creditors account debit to bills payable account. So here two bills payable. So hold on. Yeah, here two bills payable 24,000. In bills payable account also we need to open. So they already given the opening and closing, just fill that out. And then creditors account debit to bills payable account. In bills payable account by creditors 24,000. And then they haven't given any information regarding the bills payable, right? So we assume that whatever the money, the remaining money we paid to them, right? Remaining money we have paid to them through bank. So that's why you wrote to bank account 22,000. So that's why here you'll write by bills payable 22,000. And then you can figure it out, you can balance the bank column also. Remaining shortfall, we will assume that we bought the buildings account debit to bank account, in bank account by buildings. We assume that we bought the buildings. Okay. So here you might have got a doubt in bills payable account. Why do we have to consider this bank balance? Why can't we consider this as a cash balance? See, we prepared a bills payable account, and the remaining balancing figure we are assuming that we paid through bank. Why can't we assume that we paid through cash? Because all bills receivable and bills payable will run through only bank only, right? So in the beginning of the ICAI book also they mentioned saying that, right, bills receivable and bills payable will run through bank only. See, even in the question there is something called as bills receivable matured and collected, right? So when matured and collected, we passed a general entry bank account debit to bills receivable account. So that's why here bills receivable account, it is there here, right? So in bank account it is bills receivable here. In bank account we wrote, we didn't consider in the cash account here. So all bills receivable and bills payable run through bank. So that's why we wrote here. So bills payable account is done and the bills receivable is already done. Yeah, and one more thing, because of this bills payable run through bank, and then we will write that 22,000 is here, and we are buying a new machinery account. Sorry, new building, which is 3,72,000. Okay. So far we completed everything. Sundry debtors, bills receivable, bills payable, cash and bank account also is completed. So now we can put the information in the trading account, then you'll get the gross profit, right? So we got the from these we can from sundry creditors we got the purchases, from sundry debtors we got the sales, and then purchase return and sales return, and then you'll get the gross profit. From the gross profit you'll deduct all the expenses. Only new thing here you need to observe is provision for claim for damages. See, according to the prudence concept, according to the prudence concept, all the possible losses, okay, all the possible losses which you might incur in future, you need to create a provision today only. See, if there is a possible income, you don't record that, but if there is a possible loss that you might get in future, you need to record today. So here there is a legal dispute is going on in the court. In the question they have mentioned that if you win it's fine, but if you lose you need to pay damages of 1,55,000. So this is a possible loss, right? There is a possibility of loss, so that's why we have created a provision against the profits, and the same will be considered as a liability which we will record here. Apart from that everything is same. So I think you can prepare the opening balance sheet and closing balance sheet, then entire question is over.